take a break, and I'd like to bring in our next guest now, Peter Clousey, the VP of Capital Markets at Silver Bullet Mines. Peter, good evening. Oh, it's good afternoon to you, isn't it? How are you doing?
It's around 2:30. Nice to see you again, Mark.
Yeah, very, very, very pleased to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. So yeah, we're going to talk. Well, you're a silver company, aren't you? Of course, and you've got production going. We're going to cover the Super Champ, the Buckeye, and of course the Washington mine as well. And you have sent me some videos that you've taken. Do let me know when you want me to throw them up, and we can do them. But let's just talk about the discovery of that additional high grade silver mineralization above the Super Champ vein at the Super Champ mine, which is in Arizona, which of course is already in production. So could you perhaps just give us an overview, first of all, of the project as it stands?
Sure. First, I'd like to congratulate Fulcrum. They have a great project. I'm originally from Timmins. And behind my head there, that's the famous Hollinger gold shaft, the Hollinger shaft on Pearl Lake. So congrats to Fulcrum.
Okay, good.
There are a lot of tailings to be cleaned up. The Super Champ is a miraculous property. If it didn't exist, I'm shocked that it exists. We've been through the numbers. I've had friends call me up and say, you must have made a typo. Go, no, those are the grades. They can't be that high. Yeah, they are that high. We have a perpetual lease on the Super Champ in Arizona, and we pay a royalty when we sell material. So the owner to title doesn't have to invest any capital. We decide when to mine it, how to produce it, process it. And once it's processed, we pay the owner a royalty. It's a very friendly deal for both of us. You have a video there of an excavator, right?
Yes, we do, yes.
Can we tee that up?
We can.
Excavator clearing the overburden. The vein is usually whitish material. It looks like the vein where the excavator is takes a sharp turn to my left and will continue to be chased.
So I took that on January 2nd. I did a site visit because I'm not just the VP Capital Markets, I'm also a director. And site visits to me are important for due diligence purposes to report back to the board. Watching the excavator work was unbelievable. I have never seen a simpler mining operation. It's a 13-foot boom, clear off the overburden, dig up the vein as far as you can reach, throw the material down the hill, and a front-end loader shows up to put it into a pile and eventually into a truck to be driven 7-8 miles to our own mill to be processed. It's the simplest, most low-cost form of mining I've ever seen, and this is in Arizona.
And that's just there effectively at the surface at the moment.
Right. So we have a plan. The plan is to map the surface, try to figure out where the vein runs, what its structure is, put together a tentative mine plan. Based on a tentative mine plan, like you go underground here up the hill, do underground over the top and come up and T-bone it. Based on the tentative mine plan we come up with, we will then put together a drill plan. Based on the results of that drill program, that'll either confirm our tentative mining program or we'll change it based upon the data. And we expect to be drilling sometime this summer, early fall of 2025.
Okay. So, I mean, what sort of scale here do you see here, the opportunity at Super Champ?
Well, we don't have a 43-101 on that property, so I'm limited in what I can say.
Yeah.
But we have put out into news releases that the vein goes between 3 and 12 feet wide. It seems to average around 8 feet wide. Our best guess is it's running between 50 and 200 feet down. And the grades are phenomenal, with about half an ounce of gold thrown in for good measure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So as for scale, we'll finish mapping it, and then you and I can talk again about the results of the mapping.
Okay. And that's being planned right now?
It's being planned now. Now, we're taking material now and processing it at our own mill and we're processing it into silver concentrate. And that concentrate is fairly easy to sell once you hit minimum volumes. So our goal is to process enough material to hit a minimum volume so we can sell the silver con while we're still processing the vein and planning for the drill program.
Yeah. Okay.
And this isn't a highly exploratory drill program, right? We know the business case that we make for drilling. We know why we want to drill, where we're going to want to drill, and it will be a very targeted program.
So is the objective of the drilling to get a 43-101, or is it to tell you where to focus the excavation activities and where the vein's going?
That's the subject of a very polite argument amongst the leadership team at Silver Bullet as to whether or not we need a resource estimate. There's a cost to that. There's a time to that. We don't have one at any of our properties. We went straight to production, and we've been successful doing that. So there's a healthy discussion underway, and I think the results of the mapping program will serve to inform whether or not we get a resource estimate.
Okay. Okay. And we're talking here sort of multiple vein structures potentially?
It looks like it. You heard in my video there that the excavator at the top of the hill had just discovered an offshoot heading sharply to the left, and he was still tracking the vein behind him. So there appear to be numerous offshoots of high-grade silver.
Right. Okay. Well, that's got to be good, hasn't it, eh?
Well, we found evidence that someone had mined here about 150 to 200 years ago. We found adits that were supported by rotten wood. And, the best guess is it was one of the Spanish that did the work, although we have no firm evidence as to that. But somebody worked this property 150 to 200 years ago.
Well, okay. And this is all, as you say, taken and processed to your site, which is, I think, the plan for the other projects as well, should they be yielding mineralization. Is that correct?
I missed the first half of that, Stan, how you pulled that together.
So yeah, this is all processed, as you say, at your own mill site.
Yes.
And I think the plan is to do that with the other projects as well, if they've got mineralization.
Right, except for Idaho, which we'll come back to. But
Okay,
anything in Arizona, the current intention is to process all of that at our own mill. That gives us a phenomenal control over costs.
Okay, and that's all up and running. I know we've got videos here as well, so we can just sort of show that now as well.
We're at the mill now. This is material taken from the Super Champ, brought to the mill for processing. It's two different colors because the reddish stuff was taken from the lower area, and this brownish grayish stuff was taken from the higher area. It's about 900 tons of material. At the mill site, just outside Globe, Arizona, ball mill is spinning. I'm at the mill site just outside Globe, Arizona. Everything seems to be working just fine. There's a good line coming off the table, and all the equipment's working as it should.
I don't think there's any sound on this one, Peter. Maybe you can explain what we're looking at.
Sure. To the left is the ball mill turning. It actually has big steel balls in it, pulverizing the material. From there, it goes into the jig, and off the jig onto the shaker table. Off the shaker table, it goes into the concentrate bag. And there you can see you see the silver line there. It's about 2 inches wide. And that silver concentrate goes into the shaker bag, into the concentrate bag, sorry. And the con bags run about 4 tons per bag.
Okay. Okay. So that's all running, is it 24/7 operation?
No, it's not.
Okay.
We're currently running about 7 tons an hour for 5 or 6 hours a day. Part of the rhythm of getting a mill to work is every material you process is different. So the rate at which it comes through the coarse crusher is different. The rate at which it goes up into the fine crusher is different. The rate at which it goes into the ball mill is different. And so the team is making small field adjustments all the time, because you don't want to be running your high grade material until you're optimized. If you're running lower grade material, then you just wind up filling your tailings pond, and I'd have to call the nice people from Fulcrum to come down and do work for us.
Okay.
And I don't want to do that. We want the silver to go into the silver con in our own bag.
Sure. I think one of the next big bits of news what we can anticipate would be that first invoice and that check, as you refer to. I think you still use checks over there.
The mining industry is still an old-fashioned industry.
Sure. So that's still anticipated.
In our MD&A of the last quarter, effective December 31st, 2024, we put in the MDA that we expect to be in revenue from the Super Champ this quarter. And that's in revenue under IFRS principles.
Okay.
And we have not put out any statement to the contrary. So you can take it that we still believe that's going to happen.
Okay. Good. Well, that'll be the next time we speak. Well, maybe before, but that's one I can certainly anticipate, Peter. I know we've got other projects and things to talk about. So let's just talk about the Buckeye mine, of course. I think this is one of 5 past producing silver mines located at the Black Diamond property in Arizona. Right. So you're currently preparing to restart operations here, expecting to be in production again by the end of the year. Is that right? How's it all going?
It's going very well. But we had a decision to make between working the Buckeye and working the Super Champ. Super Champ has higher grades. It's easier to access. So, and it appears to have more gold in it. So a management decision was made to concentrate on the Super Champ for now, and we will get back to the Buckeye.
Okay, good. So I'm just thinking about sort of the other producing mines surrounding that property. Then I think you've got big operators like BHP and Rio there. I mean, are you talking some potential significant upside here at Buckeye?
If you read the 43-101, which God, I don't know anybody who would, but if you do read it, there is some significant evidence of a large copper porphyry underlying the entire property. And as we go along and we build up cash from revenue, it is our goal in the next 3, 4, 5 years to start looking at that copper porphyry to test whether it exists. We've been asked if we will JV or do something with it. It's far too soon to tell.
Okay.
We lack the data.
Okay. So your plan here to explore this would look like what then?
There are other silver mines in the area that are on our property that we'd like to restart. Fairly low-hanging fruit, not as low-hanging as the Buckeye, but the McMorris we would look at, and some of the other mines on the property. And once we've looked at those, then we'll look at the copper porphyry.
Okay.
It might be a 10, 20-year project. I don't know. Because, copper porphyries are hard to explore for and expensive.
Mm-hmm. And at the moment at Buckeye, were there some things, is it the MSHA?
MSHA. Yeah. So the Mining Safety Health Administration, which is part of the United States Department of Labor, they're very good about protecting miners. They showed up at our Buckeye and they made some recommendations. Right? So we've been implementing those recommendations and not allowing people into the mine until we finish those. Okay. But it's far more profitable for the company in our perspective to work on the Super Champ than to spend resources at Buckeye for now.
Sure, that makes perfect sense. And then, of course, the other project then, the Washington mine, and there was quite a recent update from this. This is in Idaho. You announced that you've completed the first phase of underground development. So could you perhaps provide some background on this asset? And again, what are you targeting here?
Sure. Well, we're a junior company. We have limited resources. So management made a decision to hire a contract miner. We have a geologist on the ground who's keeping an eye on things, but we have hired a very experienced contract miner. And that person's job is to do exactly what it sounds like. They've been hired to go mine. So go in, dig, take the material out, put it in a truck, take it to a mill, process it, send us a check. Now, it's a little more difficult than that, as you might imagine, but that's the concept. It gives us a fair bit of control over the process. And as we have announced, the contract miner has intercepted the historical vein material. We have put out news releases referring to historical reports on this material of 120,000 tons, grading between 30 and 90 ounces of silver per ton, which is relatively insane because Bonanza silver is generally regarded at 30 ounces of silver per ton, and that's the lowest end of our range.
Right. Okay.
There also is evidence of gold within that 120,000 tons. But when I do my math, I only count the primary mineral. I don't count the secondaries.
Okay, sure.
Unless it's a VMS deposit when everything counts.
Okay. Yeah, of
So
course.
our goal is to go in, have the contract miner extract 50 tons a day. Once the contract miner hits a certain minimum volume, put that into the truck, take it to a nearby mill, process it, and get paid for that material.
Okay. Okay. I love always how you make things very, very simple, which, as you said, in mining is not usually the case, but you
No.
certainly articulate it very simple. So,
Well, part of the reason there, Mark, is the contract miner is excellent. Right? We didn't stumble upon somebody. We did research and we found the team that we wanted. They have a lot of experience in projects like this, and they're the ones who make it look easy, not us guys in suits.
Okay, okay. And the time frame for this, then you say they've got to get to a certain tonnage before they then take it away. What are we talking here? Can you disclose how much they've got to get to and what time we're looking at?
Our goal is 50 tons a day. And we have disclosed in that MDA as of December 31st that we expect to be in revenue from this mine this quarter.
Okay.
Now, right, they're only taking a bulk sample. This isn't what you would think of as continuous mining. Let's go in, take a bulk sample, process it, even if it's in 4 or 5 pieces.
Okay.
And looking at the speed with which the contract miner is working, that is still a reasonable assumption. Right?
Yeah.
We have not put out news to the contrary, so you can assume that that's still happening.
Okay. Okay. So in revenue on 2 silver projects, effectively. Okay. Good.
Yep.
And this has been backed up, I guess, by the placing. We call it a placing. I'm not sure. Strategic financing, I think it was worded in the press release there. You closed. Is it about 1.7 million that you closed here?
Well, it's a total of over, we'll call it 2.5 million. And this last tranche was about 1.7 million Canadian dollars.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just tell us a bit about, I think, first of all, when you've been talking to investors on this, what the reaction was. You know, you obviously got quite a bit of interest there to get that money.
We're fortunate to have a very loyal shareholder base. We are probably the most transparent junior mining company you've ever seen. We try to stay very current with the shareholders, whether it's through press releases, news releases, or the MDA. We do stay involved on various chat groups, not to make selective disclosure, but to correct any misassumptions and to be able to answer questions that don't involve selective disclosure. So we are highly engaged with our shareholder base because, you know, after all, they own the company.
Indeed, I see you're very active on CEO.ca, of course, where a lot of the shareholders are chatting away there. In terms of how you'd use these proceeds, how are they going to be appropriated?
Advance the Super Champ, advance the Washington mine in Idaho, and general working capital. Now,
Okay.
in the working capital, I include improvements to the mill. To my mind, the mill is like a high-tech car. You bought it, but you're always tinkering with it.
Okay.
Depending on the road you're driving, what time of year it is, you got to put the snow tires on. You're always tinkering with the mill to optimize it. So I include that in working capital, not a capital allocation.
Okay. Okay. Good. Well, thank you, Peter. So we can go to some of the questions that I've seen sort of popping up here. So the first one here is Silver Bullet's goal to eventually self-finance its exploration through the revenue it generates, beginning with these streams it has already established.
Well, it's 2 streams. The Buckeye will eventually come on stream, so we'll count that as the third. And yes, until it gets time to explore for the porphyry, it is our goal to self-finance through revenue.
Okay. Okay. Good. 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 Is Silver Bullet planning to upgrade its milling capacity?
We're lucky to have a CEO whose skill strength is in milling and processing. John Carter has built mills all around the world. So when he designed this, he designed it so we could almost Lego another 125 tons per day on it. It's currently plated for 125 tons a day, and we can bolt on another 125 tons a day if we choose to get to 350 tons per day. We don't have that capacity yet, but as the data comes in and as we increase the throughput, that may happen.
Right. Okay. Good. 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 Let's see what other questions we have here. Does Peter have a? Oh, this is a good one. A silver target price for the end of 2025. Does he think it will correlate to the gold rise again soon?
I wrote an article this year about the gold-silver ratio. I think it's no longer something that can be relied upon. It used to be reliable when gold and silver were both industrial metals. But now there's so much data out there about gold, and they have so many different uses that that ratio is no longer reliable. As for a silver price, that's hard for me to control, but I can't see it crashing below 20. And it's going to, in my opinion, stagger to between $35 and $40 by the end of 2025.
$35 and $40 by end of the year. Okay, okay. So that's well, some might say that's a conservative.
Well, look, we made a production decision here at the Buckeye in May of 2020 when silver was at $17 an ounce. Now, COVID changed everything, changed pricing, it changed availability of labor, changed everything. But if I had to go back and do it all over again, I would still vote in favor of a production decision. And at, what is it today, 33.25? Yeah, we're enjoying the price of silver.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. It'd be interesting to see how, because I know the paper market for silver is a bit all over the place, isn't it? You know, it's highly leveraged. If that ever gets ratified, or if it never does, I don't know. But I've seen people, you know, saying it's $300. You know, could be quite realistic.
There are a lot of better informed people than I am as to the paper market, the silver market. Can you go buy physical paper, physical silver? I'm just concentrating on the job in front of me.
Sure.
And that's getting these properties into revenue.
Okay.
Like,
good.
I've told this to you before. Yay, we've rehabilitated a mine. It's not what the business we're in. Yay, we built this beautiful mill. It's not the business we're in. We're in the business of generating revenue through the sale of silver. And I want that to happen this quarter.
Good. Thank you, Peter. What else do we have? Does Silver Bullet expect to see any commercial interest in the Buckeye or other historic silver mines at Black Diamond, given the presence of the majors around the project?
One of the interesting terms of any non-disclosure agreement is you can't even acknowledge that such a non-disclosure agreement exists. So I can't say anything really about that. We are in elephant country, and it wouldn't be surprising if other people came hunting for elephants with us.
Okay. Good. Do we have any other questions here? I know there was one or two, I think, that were, yes. Okay, well, I think you've answered that one. You said by the end of the quarter. Yeah.
Right. So I'm not expecting millions and millions of dollars this quarter, right? We're still figuring out the mill, figuring out the process.
Sure.
But we are still on record as saying there will be revenue from the Super Champ before March 31, 2025, which is 42 days from now.
Okay.
So I'll tell you, as a leadership team, we are painfully aware of these deadlines. We talk about them every day.
Right. Okay. Good. I see another question has come up. In December Super Champ update, Silver Bullet mentioned it was working with a potential client interested in purchasing all of the available concentrate. Is there any update on that?
We're still working on it. Okay. Every purchaser of silver con has a different need and a different capability of writing a check for that con. Mm-hmm. So we're still working through discussions on it.
Okay, good. Do we have any other questions? Otherwise, we can let's just see if anything is popping up here. Well, something that came to my mind. I mean, you were quite. You talked very nicely about Fulcrum. Mm-hmm. Would you look to perhaps leverage your expertise here and collaborate with other sort of gold-focused companies to maybe add gold to the portfolio or the gold credits, of course, that are in your project?
We're focused on silver and Arizona and Idaho right now. If there were a way for Fulcrum to look at our tailings pond and help us extract value for minimal cost, okay, absolutely, that'd be a conversation. And with the mining show happening shortly, I fully expect to see the Fulcrum guys at the show, and we can talk about it.
That's PDAC you're referring to,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Be interesting to see how that show does indeed go. I mean, could you with your milling operation, could you potentially process? Is it just silver, or you can process gold? Couldn't you as well?
We can process it, but we can't recover the gold.
Okay.
We can crush the rock, but the table and the jigs aren't designed to recover the gold.
Okay. So it's purely going to be a silver processing operation, but you could then.
We would have to put a float on. Flotation would cost probably $300,000 to $400,000, and I'm not sure how long it would take to attach. So to process gold and copper would require the float.
Okay, okay. Would you potentially look to process other operators' silver at your mill?
Absolutely. Part of the business plan that was put together back in 2020 was if we build the mill and our mine goes dry for whatever reason, we can process third-party material.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if you've been to Arizona, but it seems everybody has a mine in his or her backyard. Everybody
Okay.
has a hole. They've taken material out of it, and it was our thesis that building the mill would give us a third leg of the business plan in case the mill's dried up, the mine's dried up, we had access issues, whatever happened to the mines, we could still generate revenue through the mill.
Okay. 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 So there's a potential, yeah, other revenue streams there. But for you, really, at the moment, it's really about getting that revenue, those sales away, and that check coming in from two mines, two projects, in
Absolutely.
short order.
And then you
Okay.
ramp those up and you ramp those up.
Good. Good. Well, thank you very much, Peter Clausey, for your time this
Thank
evening.
you.
You can hang around for another sort of 30 minutes. Can you come back for the
I
round
can.
table discussion at the end there? I think we can. I think that's all the questions that I saw there. So we can probably leave you for half an hour and
Can
bring
I
in,
offer one last point?
please.
We only have about 94 million shares outstanding for a company that looks to be seeing revenue from two projects. And we are in Nevada, which is generally regarded as one of the top mining jurisdictions in the world, and in Idaho, which is a very well regarded mining jurisdiction. So we are very excited about our future.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Peter. Again, as always, and we'll come back to you in about 30 minutes or so.